And welcome to the second of today's Project Edward 2021 live road trip updates. We are live from the National Control Centre of Traffic Scotland here in, well, you probably can't miss it, South Queensferry, with a view of bridges here. We've got the Forth Rail Bridge, Forth Road Bridge, the new Queensferry crossing. It's all here. We'll see more of those later, but what a stunning backdrop for half an hour of road safety updates. Now, my colleagues are travelling around the country. Hopefully you're looking at a map of them now, or will be in a few seconds' time. Got colleagues in the southwest and in Cambridgeshire. Lots going on. I'll be catching up with both of them, one live, one on tape, but that's coming up in a short while. As it's day one, I thought we'd just do a little recap of why we're all here.
It's about people staying safe, concentrating on what they're doing and thinking about the problems there can be on the roads.
You may have heard from me earlier on when I was in Dundee at the police operation. Since then, we've been to Gleeblands Primary School, also in Dundee, where we watched Ziggy, the Scottish People's Road Safety character, speaking to the nursery school children there. Had a great photo with them and met Ziggy, and there'll be photos on our social media later, if not already. But before that, just before I left Dundee, the roadside safety check, we ran out of time on the broadcast. James had to wrap it up, but I did manage to grab a longer chat with Sergeant Gordon Dixon, who was more than happy to talk to us about the operations and why it's important to be fit for the road. Well, we're in Dundee here with the Project Edward car, and the Dundee Roads Policing Unit have a live operation happening right here this morning. Cars going past. We've got not just checks for speed, but other important things too to make sure drivers and vehicles are fit for the road. Now, with me is Sergeant Gordon Dixon of the Dundee Roads Policing Unit. Gordon, in your own words, tell us why you're here.
Well, our job is obviously road safety. That's one of the biggest priorities for the nation's roads. We've got issues with complaints on this stretch of road, and that's where the officers will be standing here today doing speed checks. Not just about that, obviously stopping drivers. There'll be other offences potentially found in relation to tyres or exhausts as well. As well as that is also the driver's side of things, because there's been several occasions doing checks like this whereby people will still be drunk or potentially under influence of drugs at this time of the morning, in which case the officers will obviously deal with that accordingly.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because my next question was about this sort of what some people would class as minor things linked to big things. First of all, are these minor things in your view? And second of all, what kind of things do they lead to?
No, absolutely not. It's a very serious offences to be driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Obviously, alcohol has been around for years, and I think people know that they shouldn't be doing that. Drugs and our capability to carry out drugs tests is obviously a newer thing. It is a great tool to have in our toolbox, and the amount of people that we stop and arrest for driving under the influence of drugs has went up tenfold. So that's obviously a culture that we would like to stop and that we routinely enforce.
And finally and briefly, just give us a couple of words of advice for how drivers can make sure that they and their vehicles are fit for the road.
Just check your vehicles, if not daily, at least once a week. Make sure that your tyres are fine, make sure all your lights are working, and just pay attention to your speed limits and what's going on around you, and drive safely.
Thanks very much. Sergeant Gordon Dixon there. Thanks for that. That was me in Dundee earlier on. Now, lots of social media coverage. There are some big numbers. We were always hoping for big numbers. We've got big numbers, but let's put some specifics to that and go over to the nerve centre of our social media operation and join Neil Dewson-Smith. Neil.
Thank you very much, Neil. Good afternoon, everybody. The Edward Operations Centre here, keeping a very close eye on our social media activity. And we have been doing for the last 100 days through the 100-day countdown. And we can report that this morning, our impressions just on Twitter alone for now, but on Twitter alone, our impressions on Twitter after the 100 days were 18.5 million hits. That's quite a substantial figure, which we're really pleased about, but there's been some fantastic activity on social this morning, and now we are at 22.6 million. So we've leapt 4 million in just today, which is absolutely amazing. We're really grateful to everybody that's sharing out the Project Edward hashtag and putting our message out there with their road safety news and information and stories, which is just fantastic. We can also share what are our top tweets so far today. If we look at the next screen here, we can show that the most popular tweet at the moment is actually one of ours. It's had 1.4 million impressions. And that was just our introductory tweet this morning, just to say that we were actually going live and what we would be doing. And it was our first day in the week of action. You can then see the one below, which is from the FIA, the Federation Internationale de l'Automobile. And they've brought 700,000 people to their feed with a retweet there. But the one below is from Blue Light Aware, which is a campaign run by our sponsors, Gem Motoring Assist. They've been running their Blue Light Aware videos last week and will be doing so this week. They put a tweet out on Friday showing their video about how to respond to police and emergency vehicles when you're in a solid white line system. And that video, that tweet has had 237 retweets. It's had 463 likes and it's been viewed 21,600 times. So it's absolutely amazing figures on social media so far. We've had some great messages today so far from the Cambridgeshire PCC, Sussex Chief Constable Joe Shiner, Scottish Fire and Rescue, the Devon Air Ambulance down with James at Exeter Airport, the Merseyside PCC, the Road Safety Trust, Road Victims Trust, Northumbria Roads Policing, ROSPA, and many, many more, too many to mention, but it's been a fantastic day so far. And with that, back to you at South Queensferry, Neil Barrett.
Thank you very much, Neil Dewson-Smith. I said big numbers. I didn't realise they were that big. That's some fantastic progress. You can join the conversation using the hashtag Project Edward, as we've said. Get involved in the debate. If you're in roads policing or road safety, or you're involved in the roads, get in touch. If you're a road user of any kind, get in touch as well and join the debate. We're looking forward to growing that reach, but we're also looking forward to getting involved in the debate. And I know Neil and his colleagues will be responding to points that are made on there as well. Now, we're here in Scotland, as you know, on my road trip with the black car. We're here at South Queensferry. We're here at the National Traffic Scotland Control Centre. But where are we in terms of what do we do here? Well, all the answers are going to come from Douglas Cairns now, who pretty much runs the place, I would say. He's very modest, but seems to be today anyway. Douglas, welcome. Thanks for having us, first of all.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you very much. Now, let's answer that question. What is it you do here? Why are we here? What is this place?
So Traffic Scotland is a national service provided by Transport Scotland that provides real-time traffic and travel information across the trunk road motorway network throughout Scotland. So from the very top to the very bottom and all the way across either side.
So really all of Scotland.
All of Scotland.
All in this one place. It's really another one of those nerve centres, folks. So you were telling me earlier you've had a all these things are relatively quiet weekend. What would you say, when was the last time you had a sort of a major day on the roads where there was quite a lot to look after?
Every day is different. Now, you've actually jinxed it saying the Q word. So,
sorry.
No, you're quite all right. So it's one of these things. Because every day is different, we just have to react to the conditions and what's happening with incidents throughout the network. Depends on the weather, depends on the circumstances. So probably most recently last week, there was probably a number of incidents occurring, all kind of road closures relating to serious injury. We are there to provide that information to the travelling public to help them keep informed, stay safe, and go about their travels.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, how does your work differ between city centres? Now, I can imagine city centres are quite well covered, and you can link it with those. I mean, you're covering the main trunk routes here, but obviously you're going in and out of city centres, and I guess it's different. You're on a big wide road like we'll see in a moment, but must be difficult to compare the different types of road structure that you work on.
Yeah, the trunk road motorway network throughout Scotland is very diverse. It's not all motorways. That's probably a small proportion of what the trunk road network is. So predominantly it's single carriageway. That does change the way people view, look at and travel on the road network. So we do have to take that into consideration in terms of if there's an incident on the single carriageway section of road, often variable leads to longer delays, longer congestion because of that limiting factor that it doesn't have the capacity with multiple lanes, and we're able to set lane restrictions on our motorway network.
Brilliant. And journey time information is obviously important. That's your bread and butter. Since the innovation of getting the journey time information up onto the variable message signs, how much feedback have you had that's improved the journey experience?
It's an evolving experience. In the past, our journey time information was provided traditionally by kind of equipment on the roadside. Now it's all virtual, it's in the cloud, as they say, so it's very much reactive and real time, which is fantastic for the travelling public. As they pass the sign, they know it's accurate, they know it's reliable, and they can use that information to adjust their travel plans if they should choose to do so.
Which is good. So there's more ability to make those decisions.
Absolutely.
Which is what we like. Douglas Kettons, thank you very, very much for joining us. Now, a few plugs, because our social media and our competitions are big. I've already talked about social media. I'll just quickly say, use the hashtag Project Edward. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram as well. If you're running any road safety campaigns this week, do join in on all of those channels, but particularly Instagram, where you can post some pictures as well. And we'll try and highlight some of those in future updates. But we also have some competitions. Now, there is our prime sponsor is Nextbase, the dash cam manufacturer, and they are powering the dash cams in the vehicles. But also, there's some we've got to give away. Now, there's two different competitions you can do. You can spin the tyre, and that involves going to the homepage of our website, projectedward.org. You spin the tyre, answer some questions. You've got 2-minute quick fire quiz, and then you go on and enter the competition. But also, there's a fact hunt. Now, that's a bit more involved. We give you about 20 questions, I think, there or thereabouts, and you've got to go on and find out the answers to those. But we tell you where to find those answers. So we tell you which Twitter channels you can find that information out on. I've got a hunch that not as many people will be entering that competition. So I think give it a try, because you're probably in with pretty good chance to win one of 2 dash cams just through that competition. We've just closed an entry period for the last dash cam draw. The draw for that will be live on Twitter and other channels at 8 p.m. tonight, there or thereabouts, with Neil, who you heard from earlier, with the social media update. Now, not just me in the black car, as I say, we have a white car, we have a blue car, and you're going to hear more from those. You're going to hear more from the blue car in a few minutes. But first of all, let's find out what the white car's doing. And my colleague Simon Turner is there. Where are you, Simon, and what are you doing?
Thank you, Neil. I'm currently outside of Ely Station, and I'm with Special Sergeant Tom Howard of Cambridgeshire Constabulary doing a vehicle roadworthiness stop. So, Tom, could you tell us a little bit more about what you're actually looking for?
Yep. So me and my colleagues have been here today. We've been stopping vehicles as it's been going through, checking for things like tyre deflation, any defects on the tyres, so wearing down of tyres, and also other offences like wearing seatbelts and mobile phones.
And what sort of what are the primary things that you found? What have been some of the notable offences that you've seen today?
Well, we've had one car that's gone through, front tyres completely bald. Obviously, driver tried to stop, they would have kept skidding or potentially caused an accident. Also, the vehicle at the moment is behind us. Is being dealt with for the driver and the passenger not wearing their seatbelts.
And have you been here all day? I've been doing other stuff around Ely.
Not been here all day. We've also been conducting speed checks, numerous traffic offence reports for that, highest being 41 in a 30. We've also seized a vehicle. Basically, the driver wasn't driving with a licence, should have been on the road. So vehicle's been seized and he's been reported for that offence also.
Fantastic. So you've been doing some enforcement here, obviously a little bit of education and warning where it's appropriate to do so. But earlier today, I was at Sainsbury's talking to Sam and Chris, who were doing some free vehicle checks to Sainsbury's customers. And I think we've got a clip of what they were up to earlier. So it's Monday afternoon in Ely, and I'm in the Sainsbury's car park, and I'm here with Sam from ATS and Chris from National Highways, and we're doing vehicle checks on Sainsbury's customers' cars for free. So Sam, what are you looking for?
Currently at the moment doing a quick check around the vehicle to make sure that the tyres themselves are in good condition, looking for any cracks, punctures or underinflated tyres. Then I'm doing just a quick visual check of the brakes themselves as well, just to make sure they're looking okay. And just a walk around of the car to check light bulbs, screen washer fluid and coolant.
And what are the most common faults you've found, if you've found any today?
Yeah, I found a couple at the moment today. Main one has been coolant levels. They've been really low recently on a lot of vehicles. And a couple of punctures and wheel alignment has been the main one for myself, where the tyres are going on the outside edges.
So really important that you've found those, and I assume the customers have been very happy that those have been identified. Chris from National Highways, what's your interest in today's event?
Well, obviously we're promoting safer driving on the strategic road network. We've got various major routes running through this area, A14, A11, and obviously we want to make sure when people are entering the SRN that the vehicles are in a safe condition to do so.
Fantastic. Thank you both very much.
No problem.
So we've had a fantastic day in Ely today. There's been so much going on at their Surround the Town event. We've been in Marketplace with lots of exhibitors and people promoting road safety with the council and the Police and Crime Commissioner. I've been here today with Tom Howard, and we've seen some really good examples of good practice in road safety. So really pleased to have come to Ely. Thank you for everyone who's put on such a good day. And Neil, I'll hand back to you.
Thanks so much, Simon. Really appreciate that. So much going on there today, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow. And I'm sure there'll be some more clips and photos, as you say, as we go along, coming out on social media. It's not just about these two live shows. We've got lots coming up on Twitter, which is our main channel. So do follow us there, and hopefully my colleague Neil will be reporting on those figures getting even higher tomorrow. Now, we've come outside, as you may have spotted, those eagle-eye viewers there. We have got the road bridges behind us there. We've come away from upstairs, which is just the geography. It's just behind the camera. Just up there is the main control centre. But we are down here, and I'm with Michael Mcdonald, who is the Director of Road Safety Scotland, the man in charge. And I think it's fair to say the man that's brought all of us together for the day and a half that we're here. So first of all, thank you very much, and welcome to Project Edward.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming up to Scotland, making the effort here. It's been a bit of a hassle coordinating, but in the end, I think it'll all be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, I think, our third visit of 5. So we've got halfway through, we've got more to come, and then I think we're off to Cleveland tomorrow afternoon. So it's going to be quite a jaunt for us. But we've got our electric cars, we've got some juice. There is a charger here, we're very pleased to say. So we're topping up as we speak. But what's your remit here? I mean, tell us a little bit about the structure, because you've got Road Safety Scotland, you've got Transport Scotland. How does it all link together for those viewers that might not be from around here, might not know how it works?
So Transport Scotland, I suppose, is the equivalent of what was the Highways Agency in England. Can't remember what it's called now, but I know the name has changed recently. So we have that responsibility for the trunk road network in Scotland. And sitting within that, we have a road safety policy and education team. And Road Safety Scotland sits as the education arm of that. So our responsibility is really the development of good resources for use in schools. So from early years 3 to 18, we have a suite of very, very well developed road safety resources, because we believe that road safety is a lifelong learning process, and it has to start very young, so that by the time people get to become more independent road users, the kind of drills, the rules, everything that's already embedded, and we hope they'll make right decisions thereafter.
We hope so. And we were at Cleveland's primary school earlier, going safe with Ziggy. It's a resource we were talking earlier. I know you're in the middle of redeveloping that, but tell us why that's so important. The early years is so important to get that message across then.
I mean, I think for any reason that people will understand, I think, you have to have a lot of input into children to make sure that everything develops in their brain, to make sure that right attitudes are developed, that future behaviours are developed. Road safety is absolutely no different from that. So if we're not doing it at those very, very, very early ages, then we'll fail miserably later on, because it's so important at that beginning of life that the parents set good examples. That's very important, as well as instructing and showing their children the right things to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think looking ahead now, we've got lots coming up. The political agenda is always fierce. north and south of the border. There's always so much going on. It's trying to get road safety onto the agenda. It's trying to get the policing side onto that agenda, resources for enforcement. What are your 3 priorities, let's say, for the next couple of years in trying to get and keep that stuff on the agenda where it needs to be?
Well, I think we published a new road safety framework in Scotland earlier this year, and critical to that is the adoption of the safe system. So that's what's big on our agenda at the moment. That makes some very, very ambitious, has a very, very ambitious vision and also some very ambitious targets. So I think what we've said in Scotland is that by 2030, we want to have the safest roads in the world, and that by 2050, we want to be nobody killed or seriously injured in Scotland. So they're really, really big, massive aspirations. And I think what we want to do is at every level, make sure we can embed road safety into every level of life, no matter what it is, to try and achieve those by those dates, if not sooner. I think we all know what the safe system is. We all know the 5 pillars, and it's about trying to make sure that everybody works together to achieve them rather than working in silos, which can often be the thing that we have to work hard to overcome.
Yeah, and just a bit of historical, the merging of the police forces in Scotland over the last few years, how has that helped? I'm going to load this question and say, has it helped or hindered? I'm assuming it's helped, but am I wrong?
Well, I think what you've got now is a uniform approach across the country. It's good to be working with one individual team rather than with 8 teams as it was across the country. I think, though, it would be a disservice to the previous legacy forces to say that it hadn't worked well. But I think from the point of view of just managing it overall, it's become much, much easier.
That's good. So lots to think about for the future. Michael Mcdonald, Director of Road Safety Scotland, thank you very much for joining us with Project Edward and for hosting us this last day and a half. Now, Michael's supporting us, but we've got people all over the country and beyond supporting us. And I just want to play you a message from one of those supporters.
Hi, I'm Ian Lewin from DTEC with the Drug Wipe device, and we are proud to once again be involved with Project Edward to help educate on the dangers of drug driving and its ever-increasing prevalence in our society and on our roads. Good luck, Project Edward.
As a former sergeant in London's Metropolitan Police Road Policing Unit, I'm delighted that Dawes Highway Safety are supporting Project Edward 2021. Throughout the project, our team are taking a hands-on approach by delivering road safety events in London, Oxford and Birmingham. We're already working with UK police forces, insurers, charities and key stakeholders to share safety messages in line with Vision Zero and Project Edward.
Hi, I'm Colin Patterson from DriveTech. We're a leader in driver training and we're part of the AA. Project Edward is a great campaign to emphasise just how important road safety and perhaps even more importantly, the need for road risk reduction really is. We want everyone to be fit and safe for the road, and we look forward to a fantastic effort in 2021.
Now, on Wednesday of this week, I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time with Lincolnshire Police and watching their contribution to National Safe Speeds Day. Now, that's a 24-hour operation from 7 a.m. Wednesday to 7 a.m. Thursday, where for the first time, as far as we're aware, police forces across England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland are joining together to enforce and advise on safe speeds. It's a big deal. It's the first time it's happened, and Project Edward are pleased to be working with forces to look at and highlight what they're doing. Now, before that, my colleague James Luckhurst has been out to see some people, and I'm just looking at my notes here. They have a distinct advantage in Lincolnshire in terms of the resources available to them, and there's a legal reason for that. The community support officers, says here, have the powers to deal with speeding drivers, and that's not the case in many other places of the country. As I say, my colleague James found out more when he spent a day on speed checks in Skegness a few weeks ago.
Welcome to Skegness in Lincolnshire. We're here as guests of the Police Community Support Officers, the PCSOs. Now, traditionally, they don't have a frontline role in roads policing and traffic offence enforcement. Well, they haven't until a couple of years ago when the Chief Constable of Lincolnshire gave them the powers to enforce speed, seat belts, red light offences, a number of offences that they hadn't had the powers to do before. So that was a first, and we've come to find out what the impact has been on the officers themselves, on the PCSOs, on how that's fitted within the overall roads policing plan, and what the communities think about it as well.
I am PCSO Dave Bunker, work for Lincolnshire Police, based in Skegness, part of the neighbourhood policing team. For the last 6 to 9 months now in Skegness, our community is telling us they're concerned about the fatal four, specifically speeding in the area. And that's mirrored in other areas around Lincolnshire as well. There's many neighbourhood priorities tackling the issue of speeding and road safety in general.
Out with Dave today is Jeff Harrison, the neighbourhood policing sergeant based at Skegness. What might he say to those who believe making the roads safer is a job for the traffic cops alone?
We have to look at it in a broader picture than that. We're all a big team, and whatever contribution we can all bring for the greater good can only be positive. And there's no doubt the new powers that the PCSOs have been given have been massively impactive. The community are extremely supportive. We get a lot of positive feedback from members of the public when they stop to speak to us, and even members of the public that we stop to either advise, educate, or even enforce some of the traffic legislation. On the whole, very positive response in relation to the PCSO's support.
On behalf of the community is a critical friend taking a close interest in the work done by Dave and his colleagues.
I'm Trish Newman. I'm the chair of the Lincolnshire Police Independent Advisory Group. Here in Lincolnshire we have one of the largest counties in the country, and we've got one of the smallest police forces in the country. It's just over 1,000 odd officers and a handful of PCSOs. They are spread far too thin to do all the work that's necessary. So to me, a PCSO being able to go out with the authority of the Chief Constable to actually do the basic road traffic, the speeding, just the presence of that officer is something, and I think it's a first-class initiative. And because the officers, the PCSOs, know their areas, they know better than almost anyone else, including, I hasten to add, the residents, but the PCSOs know their areas, they know where they're going to be most effective. So it's great to see them. And of course, as I say, there aren't enough warranted officers to go round to do all this level of work.
Detective Chief Superintendent Andy Cox is Lincolnshire's head of crime and the national lead for fatal collision investigation. Via a slightly unstable online connection, he offers encouragement for other forces to consider utilising PCSOs for this kind of work.
I personally think, though, it could be extended to all PCSOs essentially in the country. We wouldn't have it as a standard power and standard ability for the PCSO. It very much fits the local community priorities that PCSOs so often are asked to work on. You know, it's a very rare event for the community not to raise road danger and speeding as a particular cause for concern. So it allows us to utilise them in support of the local community priorities, to be visible in the community, to engage with members of the public, drivers, and so on. So it's a really, really effective utilisation of the PCSO. It does tackle both the strategic policing priorities and the local policing priorities, and I think it's a really, really effective use of our resource.
That was Detective Chief Superintendent Andy Cox talking to my colleague, James Luckhurst. Now, there's a podcast. We have lots more conversations about road safety, and we've been doing them for several months. There's 8 episodes available already, and you can catch up with them on all the major platforms. Just search for the Project Edward podcast, or you can get them or link to all of those platforms through our website. So do have a listen. As I say, still time to enter the competition. There is a daily draw for a dash cam if you spin the tyre. Plus, you can go on a fact hunt and win it that way. There is a draw, as I say, 8 p.m. this evening. Tune in for that on Twitter. I think we're streaming it also to Facebook and YouTube, and my colleague Neil Juicer-Smith will be doing that. Talking of which, Neil, time for a quick final update. What's your tweet of the day?
Okay, well, thanks for that, Neil. What we've always found with Project Edward is that there's always lots and lots of great content that all our supporters and followers put out there, with some brilliant photographs that are all in support of Project Edward. And so we are going to hold a tweet of the day competition. There's no prize, but we will highlight the best tweet that will be voted on by the road trip teams the following morning. So if you put a tweet out today with the Project Edward hashtag, tomorrow morning we will have a selection for the road teams to vote on, and then we'll make a big show of the best tweet of the day. And that's not numbers and statistics. It's what just wins the day with the best content, the best picture, or the best message. But we shall see how that goes and look forward to seeing how that happens. So back to you at South Queensferry, Neil.
Thank you, Neil. And on behalf of Neil, on behalf of James, on behalf of Simon, all of our colleagues behind the camera as well, that's day one over for the live broadcast. But do keep up with us on social media and tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. when we've got more from Project Edward. From all of us here, goodbye.